we should withhold funding in some ways to any agency in the United States government that is operating outside the boundaries of the Constitution until they get their act together and they start doing what they were meant to do. You hear this all the time. The border's in my backyard. Well, it is. I mean, I literally live in Texas. That's not why it's just in my backyard. It's in everybody's yard now because the Biden administration has made it a point to leave the border wide open so that people can just come flooding into America. So much so that it is, in my opinion, a dereliction of duty on the part of President Biden, and he should be impeached for it. People are dying, not just in the United States, not just our children, which is the number one issue. And the fact that we don't have the tax dollars to sustain and support all of the people that are coming into our country, but also the humanitarian crisis that he's created, where basically our government has become the world's largest trafficking organization on planet Earth. It's grotesque. It really is. On today's show, I actually take the Sara Carter Show on the road because I am here in Texas, and I go out to a coffee shop that loves Jesus and coffee here in Texas to meet my favorite congressman and my representative, Chip Roy. And we discuss this. We discuss what is happening to our country from not only the perspective of from the local level in our own community, but how, and we were meeting in Green, Texas, by the way. It's so much fun. It's a little town here in Texas that is famous for its music. Country music stars, George Strait, so many people have performed at Green Hall. It is a wonderful, beautiful piece of America. And by the way, Green Hall, the oldest dance hall in all of Texas. It is a historic place, and I love it there. I go there quite frequently. And I was lucky to meet Congressman Roy there at my favorite little coffee shop, the Green Coffee House. Yes, all of you should go there if you're passing through. They make great coffee, and it's a great place to just meet with friends. But we love our community. We don't want to see what's happened over the last several years that Biden has worked his way into destroying our country. I mean, literally, if he gets elected again, he will finish the job because he is intent on doing so. And I am not the only one who says this. We have very few people in Congress, though, that are willing to stand up and be firm about what is happening and say no more. And they mean that. They mean it. Like Congressman Chip Roy, who says we should not fund the DHS. I completely agree with him. And in fact, I think we should not fund the FBI. And I think we should withhold funding in some ways to any agency in the United States government that is operating outside the boundaries of the Constitution until they get their act together and they start doing what they were meant to do. That is why I think Joe Biden, the Republicans are being weak. He should have been impeached, not only for what he's doing at the border, but my gosh, look at what happened in Afghanistan. We lost 13, troops in Afghanistan, and all of those American citizens, and you guys know all of that. The people that were waiting at the gates that got blown up. These are dereliction of duty issues. The only job for President Biden is to protect the United States from enemies, both foreign and domestic, protect our borders, and he is not doing it. We love our community here in Texas. I know you love yours. Ours is a beautiful mix of German, Anglo, and Hispanic culture that makes it so special. But the Biden administration doesn't see it that way. They would gladly throw my community away if it means more money and more power. This is unacceptable. We must get involved and support our leaders, like Congressman Roy, if we want to protect our nation. Here's a tweet from Senator John Cornyn. He said, the federal government will shut down in less than a month, unless a funding bill is passed by September 30th. That's only 16 legislative days away, and even fewer for the House. Under that current schedule, the House and Senate are in completely different universes when it comes to how lawmakers should fund federal agencies in both the short and long term. Chip Roy, he called out this line in today's conversation, and I want you to take a listen.
So thanks for joining me.
Sure.
I mean, it's great to be at home here in Green, Texas with you, Congressman. This is your district.
Yeah, I love being here. This is the heart of the district. I think I was just telling you, I was here last Friday at a concert at Green Hall, one of the Texas dance hall. It goes back to the 1860s to hear a guy named William Beckman with my son. His birthday was Sunday, and he loves Texas country music. So love being here. This is, the best part of the best district in the country. So.
Yeah, let me tell you, there are aspiring musicians all up and down this street at night. Everybody wants a chance to play Green Hall. It's so famous. It's oldest dance hall in all of Texas.
Well, it's funny because, some of the people were being pushed out of Austin because Austin, we're used to be the live music capital of the world. It kind of isn't anymore because people can't afford it. And, they're regulating stuff out. There's condos where there used to be music venues. So a lot of it's pushing out to San Marcos and to New Braunfels / Green and some other parts. So anyway, it's a great district filled with great people, and the mix of the culture here with the sort of Anglo-Germanic, Mexican culture that's kind of mixed here is pretty awesome.
A lot of oom-pa-pa, too.
That's right.
A lot of oom-pa-pa music. But everybody here is talking about the border, too.
Yeah.
And people are so worried. I mean, from going to the small shops, the general store, talking to people who are coming in and they're just visiting, or to the residents that live in the neighborhood. And we're pretty far from the border. We're about 3.5 to 4 hours. But everybody knows that's here in Texas that has any idea what's going on down there. They know how bad it is and how bad it is getting. I mean, across the board, the border's no longer at the border. You've said that. Other Republicans have made that statement. What does that mean, and what are you trying to do to effectively get a change? Because the Biden administration is wide open borders.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, and look, the reality is, you just said it, what we're experiencing. There's 245,000 encounters in July nationwide. They're trying to say, oh, don't worry about it. We've got this fixed. We've got this app. It's all lies. Not true. Just like Secretary Mayorkas lying to me under oath. He did. He lied. He looked at me and he said, we have operational control of the border. Tried to hide behind the statute. I held the statute up. I said, you mean this statute, the one I read to you last time when you still lied and said we have operational control? We don't. Fentanyl's pouring into our communities. Just yesterday, I had a round table with moms in the Dripping Springs ISD, just a little west of Austin, because look, we lost 5-6 kids in Hays County last year to fentanyl poisoning. We had several parents there who lost their kids to fentanyl poisoning. There's just 330 million doses of fentanyl, lethal doses, was stopped by DPS, Texas DPS last year. Now that the Border Patrol is supposed to be able to go stop that stuff from coming into our country.
And that's just a fraction of it.
That's a fraction of it. And they're the ones left holding the bag trying to deal with it because DHS and Mayorkas is not letting the great men and women on the line at Border Patrol do their job.
How does he still have a job? How is he not removed from office?
Well, he should be impeached. He should be removed. I've got a few of my Republican colleagues who were hung up saying it's not a high crime, a misdemeanor. I disagree. He lied under oath. He's violated his oath to defend the laws of the United States. I think he has aided and abetted cartel organizations and criminal organizations moving human beings for profit. But that's the key thing here. And I'd say that, I mean, look, you've got Hispanic heritage. My friend Senator Cruz's father also, left Cuba. Last night I was meeting with a number of folks that are involved with the Texas Latino Coalition here in Texas, and the extent to which, there's a rich history of Hispanic Americans, Mexican Americans, in particular in Texas, who have wanted to stand up and defend the rule of law and stand up and secure our communities, right? Tejanos who were, early involved in Texas independence. In defending our rule of law. We're winning, and I think we're winning with the Hispanic community.
Absolutely. I can say from Bienvenido with Abraham Enriquez to the Hispanic Leadership Conference and the people that I've been dealing with and I work with, and I think we have a great Hispanic group. Everybody is behind this. We need more border security. All of the people I speak to say the same. So
no question. And
I can attest to that.
And, people get in, they go, oh, you hate brown people. It's so absurd. Like 60% of Border Patrol is Hispanic. I was sitting with a group of Austin PD and San Antonio PD and sheriffs morning before yesterday. Everybody at the table was either brown or female. There was one white guy there. Look,
Right.
You've got a lot of people here who want to just do their job, and you got a bunch of white elitist liberals sitting in their little enclaves in West Austin or something, patting themselves on the back. Oh, look how compassionate I am. While little girls get sold into the sex trafficking trade.
Before we come back, let me give a quick thank you to Allegiance Gold. Gold and silver allow you to protect what you've worked so hard for. I talk to you about this all the time. Diversify, diversify, diversify. You see what's happening in our country. You see how inflation has driven the cost of everything up. You see how it's created a problem for homeowners and for people that want to buy a new home. When your interest rates are through the roof, it's almost impossible to do that, right? Trying to balance your budget, trying to protect your family's assets. Well, you can do that with Allegiance Gold. Allegiance Gold will give you $5,000 of free silver right now on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sarah sent you. If you just tell them I sent you, say, hey, Sarah sent me, you get $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase. Allegiance Gold, listen to this, has the highest ratings in the industry. 5 stars with TrustLink. They're AAA rated with the Business Consumer Alliance, and they have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You all saw what was happening in Canada. You saw what was happening here in the United States and still is with these woke companies and the crisis that we're facing and the uncertainty of the future, and especially with all these rumblings of a new COVID variant. You need to get out there. You need to protect your family and you need to protect your assets. And I can tell you can do it with Allegiance Gold. Get $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sarah sent you. So don't wait, call or click today, 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, S-A-R-A, or go to protectwithsarah.com. We can't control the Biden administration, folks, but we can prepare. 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, S-A-R-A, or go to protectwithsarah.com.
You know, for all your listeners out there, if you haven't seen The Sound of Freedom, go see it. Go see what's actually happening in the world because we're allowing cartels to have that power. So what are we going to do about it? In September, I plan to pick an enormous fight to say that we should not give one single dollar to Alejandro Mayorkas to continue to be at war with the people of Texas and to undermine our security, to allow our kids to die from fentanyl, and to allow these little girls to get abused by cartels.
Withhold funding.
We're going to hold back funding. And look, and if Republicans aren't with me, I'm going to call them out, and I'll call them out by name. We put out a letter in early August. 14 members at the Texas House Republican Conference joined with me. I hope the other 10 will. There's 25. We've got 15 on the letter. We're going to be pushing that. The House Freedom Caucus has said that we want to get changes in exchange for funding the government on the border, but also the Department of Justice, which is out of control and targeting the former president and American citizens, and we want to see the Department of Defense restored to mission first. So we've got a set of priorities, but the border is the number one priority for me along with those important issues. And we're going to pick that fight, and I want to win that fight. I don't want to just pick a fight and have it be noise. We got rolled on Memorial Day with the $4 trillion debt ceiling deal. We're not going to do that again, okay? We gave Republican leadership a little bit of leash there, and I think they dropped the ball.
Right. So, I mean, this time there's no leash?
There's no leash. This time they're going to get this right, or we're going to have some serious conversations about the future.
Have you talked to Republican leadership about the DHS?
They know.
What are they saying?
They know where I am. They know where an increasing number of folks are, and it's not just me, and it's not just the Freedom Caucus.
You got 14, right?
Of the House Texas Republicans, but there's the entire Freedom Caucus took an official position, which takes an enormous block of us to say that we need to deal with the border, also DOJ and DOD, and overall funding.
What do they try to threaten you with? Like, whenever you say, I'm going to withhold funding from the DHS, do they say, well, it's going to be your fault if anything happens? It's going to be...
The idea is they want to flip it on us and blame us if, we're not going to pay the Coast Guard, we're not going to pay defense. It's like, look, we're going to pay all those guys. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that there's not going to be a moment where we have to deal with a missed check for a week while we try to fight this out for the country. But I can tell you that everybody I've ever talked to, we're the uniform in defense of this country. They don't want to mortgage our kids' future by spending money we don't have to fund tyranny against their own people. So we ought to stand up against that. We ought to stand up for a secure border. Right now we have National Guard and Texas DPS having to hold the line where the DHS is prohibiting their people from doing it. They're processing individuals, releasing them into the United States. And so, look, everybody's going to say what they're going to say. We know what they're going to say. You crazy people want to shut down the government. You're going to prevent benefits and stop paying.
But the Democrats themselves are saying it. And they don't want migrants, illegal migrants in New York City. They're screaming mad, with Mayor Eric Adams in New York is doing the same. We're having the same problems across the board in Chicago, in California. Everywhere I travel, I have seen our cities literally ripped apart by the drug addiction and also by fentanyl poisoning and families losing their lives. So yes, I do believe, and I'm going to ask you this again, is it an impeachable offense? I mean, the job of Alejandro Mayorkas is to protect the United States. So is the job of the President of the United States to protect the national security. Have they fallen on? I mean, they're not doing that.
It's 100% impeachable offense. Like I said, unfortunately, a few of my Republican colleagues are saying it's not a high crime, a misdemeanor. I disagree. But this is also why I included in that letter that demands that we actually secure the border. I say we must pass and get Biden to sign H.R. 2, the border bill we passed in the spring. We must get Texas paid back for the $10 billion, $10 billion with a B, that we've spent to secure the border instead of DHS. We must get Mayorkas removed, and we must target cartels. If you do those things, now come talk to me about funding the government. Look, we can sit down at the table and figure out what that looks like, but we need to address those things directly. And importantly, New Yorkers are starting to understand the problem. On Staten Island, they've got like 100,000 migrants, I think, up there they're having to deal with. And they're starting, like, you're getting protests from New Yorkers going, wait a minute, what are my tax dollars going to? So, God bless Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis for distributing folks around the country, even though the leftists were throwing a fit about it, because it's waking up the American people. I kind of thought it was a little gimmicky, and God bless them, they did it. And it's waking up a lot of Americans who aren't on the border to understand the problem. And so I've got colleagues from New York who are calling me going, so what's your plan? I think your plan might have some merit to it. So we'll get back to September, and we're gonna put everybody's feet to the fire. But as I've said, no security, no funding. It's game time.
I want to thank Chip Roy for coming on the show today. Your fight is a fight for all of us. It's a fight for our community. We need to stand firm against this wasteful spending in Washington, D.C., and against lawmakers who are selling our nation out. They are not only selling out our nation, their policies, like the policies of the Biden administration, are leading to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of our youth. We need to put a stop to this. We need to put a stop to this now. Let's vote people out of office that are not doing the job for us. If they just want to make it easy, if they're just there to protect their own, then we need to get them out. We need to protect our families. Remember, we're the ones in charge. They aren't. And if you love today's show and you want even more of the Sara Carter Show, make sure you rate this podcast 5 stars and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. I'd like for you to follow me on Truth at Sara Carter Official, on X at Sara Carter DC, and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless our great nation. And God bless the great state of Texas.